May 23, 2024, News Report 1. The U.S. Navy's Pacific Fleet announced on May 22, 2024, that the 2024 Rim of the Pacific exercise, RIMPAC, will be held from June 26 to August 2, making it the largest exercise ever. The exercise will involve 29 countries, 40 warships, 3 submarines, over 150 aircraft, and 25,000 troops. Participating countries include the Quad, US, Australia, Japan, and India, the Trilateral Security Partnership countries, US, UK, and Australia, as well as Philippines and other countries around the South China Sea, and the South Pacific island nation of Tonga. Analysts believe that RIMPAC itself is a message to China that its expansion in the Western Pacific will be deterred and defeated. The U.S. had invited China to participate in RIMPAC in 2014 and 2016, but stopped inviting China since 2018 due to its expansion in the South China Sea. The theme of the 2014 RIMPAC was partner integration and readiness, promoting cooperation and trust among multiple countries, using military interoperability to achieve national goals, further strengthening alliance partnerships, and promoting a free and open Indo-Pacific region. News Report 2. Voice of America reported that the U.S. Department of Justice filed a lawsuit on May 12 against Florida residents Ben Yu and Gregory Munoz, accusing them of conspiring to commit telecommunications fraud by illegally exporting controlled biological products to China using forged documents. The case shows that from July 2016 to May 2023, Ben Yu, Chinese national, falsely claimed to work in a biology lab at a university in Florida, purchasing $4.9 million worth of biological products from a biochemical company. Subsequently, Ben Yu transported these biological products to the university's biological research laboratory, and then packaged and exported them to China using forged documents. The report did not disclose the specific types of biological products involved. News Report 3. Radio France Internationale reported that the Ukraine war has exposed the vulnerability of the U.S. and European defense industries. The U.S. plans to adjust the strategic development of its defense industry to help Ukraine resist Russian invasion. The U.S. and Europe are requesting to provide large amounts of weapons and ammunition to Ukraine, but after decades of peace, the U.S. defense industry cannot significantly increase production capacity. In addition, Ukraine's weapon needs are mainly short-term, and if U.S. defense companies increase production lines, they may face the risk of bankruptcy after the end of the Ukraine war. A recent report by the U.S. Congressional Research Service pointed out that the U.S. defense industry should evolve towards being more powerful, resilient, and dynamic, developing more resilient supply chains, investing in small businesses, and focusing more on innovation. The report also pointed out that the previous pursuit of low cost by the U.S. defense industry, and not actively seeking modernization of manufacturing processes, has led to excessive reliance on foreign resources. Furthermore, the U.S. Department of Defense requires defense companies to engage in small-scale production and customized specifications, which makes defense companies unwilling to cooperate with the Department of Defense and difficult to attract the younger generation of employees. The U.S. Department of Defense believes that the U.S. needs to change its strategy and make the defense industry base a strategic core, increase defense spending, and rebuild an efficient defense industry system. From 1985 to 2021, the proportion of U.S. defense spending to GDP dropped from 5.8% to 3.2%. In order to gain support from Congress, U.S. Secretary of State Blinken recently stated at a congressional hearing that most of the increased defense spending will be used in the U.S. homeland to develop the U.S. defense industry base and create thousands of jobs. The timely adjustment of the U.S. defense industry layout is to deal with sudden wars, such as a war in the Taiwan Strait. South Korea is a good example because it has always been on the front line against North Korea, and defense companies have never stopped working, so they can quickly produce weapons. This is why the U.S. buys shells from South Korea, providing Ukraine with over 1 million shells at once. News Report 4. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol announced on May 23 a 260 trillion won, approximately $190 billion, chip industry plan, a comprehensive support plan covering finance, infrastructure, research and development, and support for small and medium-sized enterprises. The specific contents include 1. By 2047, the construction of the world's largest chip manufacturing cluster in the suburbs of Seoul, creating millions of jobs. 2. Korea Development Bank will provide 170 trillion won in loans to chip companies to encourage investment. 3. Establish a 1 trillion won chip ecosystem fund to support chip designers and small and medium-sized enterprises. 4. Extend tax incentives for chip investments to promote employment and attract more talent to the chip industry. The chip industry is a pillar industry in South Korea. According to data from the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy of South Korea, chip exports in March reached $11.7 billion, a new high in 2 years, accounting for 1/5 of South Korea's total exports. Yoon Suk-yeol has repeatedly stated that he will spare no effort to help the chip industry develop, and has proposed that South Korea's goal is to become a leader in AI technology and maintain a leading position in the future chip market. One of the reasons South Korea is investing heavily in the chip field is the United States. The U.S. CHIPS Act invests $50 billion in chip development, with $39 billion allocated to help chip factories build in the United States and $11 billion for research and development. According to a research report released on May 8 by the Semiconductor Industry Association and the Boston Consulting Group, by 2032, U.S. chip capacity will double compared to 2022, while South Korea's chip capacity will drop from 31% in 2022 to 9% in 2032. Industry insiders believe that the world's chip supply chain will be reorganized around the United States in 10 years, posing a threat to South Korea's position in the global semiconductor field. Therefore, the Yoon Suk-yeol government has decided to invest $19 billion to support the South Korean chip industry in response to the large-scale restructuring and competition from the United States. News Report 5. Reuters reported that Boeing issued a statement saying that the reason for delaying the delivery of aircraft to China is that the Civil Aviation Administration of China, CAAC, is reviewing the battery of the 25-hour cockpit voice recorder in the aircraft. Boeing's documents at the end of 2023 show that there are still 85 Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft waiting to be delivered to Chinese airlines, which have been parked in Boeing's hangars for a long time. In January this year, Boeing delivered a Boeing 737 to Southern Airlines, the first time Boeing has delivered an aircraft to China since 2019, a delay of 5 years. As of the end of April, Boeing had delivered 22 aircraft to China. However, in recent weeks, Boeing has again stopped deliveries, with airlines and the CAAC finding excuses to delay delivery. After the epidemic, Chinese airlines have been losing money and are unable to pay for Boeing's aircraft, so the delivery has been delayed for 5 years. In addition, Chinese airlines also need to purchase their own domestically produced C919 aircraft. Although they have ordered 100 aircraft, the huge financial pressure due to their own losses. The CAAC's excuse for reviewing the battery has resulted in Boeing's 85 aircraft remaining in the hangar and unable to be delivered. News Report 6. Radio Free Asia reported that previous articles and information on the Chinese internet are disappearing rapidly, naturally due to the CCP's manipulation behind the scenes. A recent widely circulated article titled, "The Rapid Collapse of the Chinese Internet," has attracted widespread attention. The author searched for Jack Ma on Baidu and set the time from 1998 to 2014. The result was that only one piece of information could be found on the Chinese internet, and the information was posted in 2021, which is not within the set time frame. The article points out that netizens are now unable to access the process of Jack Ma's wealth accumulation around 2000, although the internet has records, the records in China are disappearing. The author also searched for Jack Ma, Pony Ma, Lei Jun, Ren Zhengfei, Luo Yonghao, Luo Yufeng, Feng Jia, Jie Chou, and Li Yuchen on different websites and at different times, but found that the past information is no longer available. The author believes this is a serious problem. Many previous information has completely disappeared, and the simplified Chinese internet is rapidly collapsing. Many of the original reports, speeches, or articles that could be seen before are slowly disappearing. It seems that there is a monster devouring web pages, erasing the content of the Chinese internet in units of 10 years or 5 years, along the timeline of history, from the past to the present. The article points out that this is precisely the action of the CCP, which is the enemy of culture, erasing internet culture, trying to control people's memory and cognition. News Report 7. According to a report by a South Korean television station, the trilateral summit between China, Japan, and South Korea will be held in Seoul, the capital of South Korea, from May 26 to 27. Chinese Premier Li Keqiang, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, and South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol will attend the meeting. According to the agenda, bilateral talks between the three countries will be held on the 26th, and the three leaders will meet and issue a joint statement on the 27th. South Korea's National Security Office stated that the three parties plan to discuss in 6 areas, including cultural exchanges, economic cooperation, public health cooperation, peace and security, etc. According to Kyodo News, the trilateral talks will also discuss the latest situation in North Korea, express concerns about North Korea's successive missile launches, and confirm the promotion of U.S. Japan-Korea defense cooperation. Fumio Kishida will also seek assistance on the issue of North Korea's abduction of Japanese nationals. The China-Japan-South Korea leaders' meeting has been held annually since 2008. Due to the outbreak of the epidemic, the meeting was interrupted. The last meeting was held in Chengdu in December 2019, which was 4.5 years ago. This trilateral summit comes at a time when competition between the United States and China is intensifying, and Japan and South Korea are actively deepening their trilateral security partnership with the United States. Therefore, this China-Japan-South Korea Leaders Summit is particularly noteworthy. News Report 8. According to reports, former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley has joined the Hudson Institute as a distinguished fellow. At a Hudson Institute event on May 23, Haley said she would vote for former President Donald Trump in the U.S. election. Haley was Trump's last competitor within the Republican Party, and she now expresses support for Trump. After sweeping the primaries on Super Tuesday, Haley announced her withdrawal from the race in March this year, but over the past few months, hundreds of thousands of Republican voters have voted for the withdrawn Haley in the primaries. Haley's vote rate in some states even exceeded 20%, highlighting the dissatisfaction of many Republican voters with Trump. Nevertheless, Haley said that although Trump's policies are not perfect, Biden's presidency is a disaster, so she will vote for Trump. Haley hopes that her support will boost Trump's chances of winning, while also hoping that Trump will continue to support her. Earlier reports stated that Trump's campaign team was actively considering Haley as a vice presidential candidate, and the Republicans believed that a reconciliation between the two would be in their mutual interest. However, Trump had previously stated that Haley was not among his considerations for vice president, but this may not necessarily be true. News Report 9. According to CNN, TikTok recently conducted a large-scale layoff. On May 21, TikTok's management sent an email to employees notifying them of the layoffs, and laid-off employees have gradually received dismissal notices. According to TikTok employees, the layoff has been brewing for some time and involves the operations, content, and marketing departments. It is reported that the Global User Operations Department will be dissolved, with 1,000 employees in the department, some of whom will be transferred to the safety, marketing, and content product departments, while the rest will be laid off. Sources said that the layoff is not related to TikTok's legal disputes in the United States but is mainly aimed at reducing operating costs. A law passed by the U.S. Congress requires TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, to sell TikTok by January 19, 2025, otherwise TikTok will be removed from app stores. As of 2023, TikTok's U.S. subsidiary has a total of 7,000 employees. News Report 10. According to Shanghai Securities News, Bank recently signed an agreement with China Merchants Bank and other commercial banks to obtain a loan of 20 billion yuan, of which 10 billion has been disbursed. The collateral for this loan is Bank's subsidiary, Wanwei Logistics Company, Limited. This is the largest loan obtained by a Chinese real estate company since 2020. Earlier, on May 13, Bank announced that it had applied for loans totaling 7.339 billion yuan from Bank of China, Agricultural Bank of China, and Bank of Beijing. In addition, Bank plans to sell its headquarters site in Shenzhen for 2.235 billion yuan. According to Bank's financial report, as of the end of last year, its interest-bearing debt reached 320 billion yuan, of which 62.4 billion is due within 1 year. Although Bank has obtained a 21.2 billion yuan loan this time, it is estimated that there will be no funding issues in the first half of the year. However, Bank's fundamental problem has not been solved. Bank's main problem lies in poor sales, which is actually a common problem faced by all real estate companies. If sales performance is poor, even if you borrow more debt, you cannot solve the fundamental problem. Data shows that Bank's sales revenue from January to April this year was 77.9 billion yuan, a year-on-year decrease of 40%. Without sales revenue support, companies will sooner or later face the risk of bankruptcy. News Report 11. Harvard University's Board of Directors announced on May 20 that it will not award degrees to 13 graduating students who set up camps on campus to protest in support of Palestine. The Harvard Board of Directors stated that the actions of these students violated university policies and must be disciplined. Earlier this year, as the conflict between Israel and Palestine intensified, protests on American university campuses became more intense. Although most of the protests were peaceful, some were very extreme. Some students supporting Palestine camped out and occupied teaching buildings on campus, leading to violent clashes between police and protesters. More than 2,000 students nationwide were arrested, and Harvard University is one of the few universities that did not forcefully evict these protesters. The school has repeatedly stated that if protesters supporting Palestine do not leave the campus camp, they will be suspended from classes. News Report 12. According to Xinhua News Agency, a 5-story residential building in Xiangfang District, Harbin City, Heilongjiang Province, exploded at 7 a.m. on May 23, killing 1 person and injuring 3 others. Online videos show that during the explosion, a large amount of debris flew in all directions with the shock wave, even landing on a nearby viaduct, and vehicles parked nearby were also hit. The residents involved in the explosion included 2 elderly people and a child. During the explosion, 1 elderly person was blown from the 4th floor to the 1st floor and died on the spot, while the other 2 were severely burned, and another neighbor was also injured. The Hong Kong government's notification stated that the residents did not turn off the gas cylinder, which caused a flash explosion when the fire started in the morning. However, this explanation is questionable because modern gas stoves have safety devices. If there is a gas leak or the flame goes out, the gas stove will automatically shut off, so nothing will happen even if you don't turn off the gas cylinder. This is very surprising because this simple safety device should now be universal. If the Chinese government cannot even do this, the significance of their launching satellites into space is questionable.